you do compose and you do a fair amount of arranging.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, how are they similar, and how is composing and arranging different?
They're similar in that they're both creative exercises. You probably have more source material to go with, obviously, in an arrangement, because there you've got a melody and text, where in writing something completely from scratch, if it's choral or vocal, you've got a text to go by. I'm a text fanatic about making sure that the music I write serves the text and doesn't kind of force something on it that the original writer didn't intend. And I would approach an arrangement the same way, not wanting to sort of force my will on some
Mm-hmm.
existing material, but find something, hopefully, that enlightens it or brings some new life to it. They both have their opportunities and the challenges as well. And they're both enjoyable to do. I suppose if I had my choice, I would write original music most of the time. But every now and then you come across something that will trigger an idea,
Mm-hmm.
an existing piece that triggers an idea, and I feel that I've got something I can bring to it.
You mentioned how you're a fanatic about text. I understand there's a story associated with the text of the piece the Choral Arts Ensemble commissioned from you, Burr Oak.
Burr Oak. It was fascinating. I had written, over the years, the Choral Arts Ensemble has performed a lot of my music, and they've recorded it, and it's always been a terrific experience. I got a phone call from the conductor, who was Michael Culleton at the time, and he said that this family had come forward and was interested in commissioning a piece for the ensemble, and they were hoping that I would write it. Which is the phone call that every composer wants to get. This was an ensemble.
Who, me?
Yeah, exactly. I knew it was going to be a good experience, so absolutely. And then he said, and they have a text that they really hope you'll use.
Mm-hmm.
And so then my heart sank a little bit, and I sort of stepped back, because finding that perfect text is so critical. So I thought, well, I want to keep an open mind, And so I said, okay, I'm interested, to know more about this text. And have you seen it? And he said, yes. It's a paragraph from a scientific book about trees. And again, I took a deep breath.
Uh-huh.
It had been a while since I had looked at a science book, but I don't remember that they are inherently sort of aesthetically, inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, okay, here we go. And he said, I can email it to you. And so he did, and it's just perfect text. I mean, it's operatic in scope in this one paragraph. There are huge, broad, very dramatic strokes. There's some very intimate kind of moments. There's conflict. There's resolution. I mean, it's everything that that you would want in a text. And it's about these trees called Burr Oaks, which I really hadn't heard about before. And then a couple days later, I was talking to my mom, and I mentioned this piece and the text and the idea for it. And she was very quiet for a little bit, and then she said, "Cathedrals on the Plains." And I said, "Well, what?" And she said, "Burr Oaks were cathedrals on the plains." And she went on to say that her dad, my grandfather, had emigrated from Prussia. And as he was moving westward across the country, trying to decide sort of where to homestead, they were at the Great Plains, and he saw these monumental trees that were dotting the landscape. And he said to himself, any soil that's rich enough to sustain this growth is rich enough to sustain my family. I still get emotional.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where he put down his roots.
Uh-huh.
And so immediately, this had a real personal tie for me, and just brought the whole concept to a different level.
Mm-hmm.